Yo, what is up guys, FaZe here and welcome back to another video. Hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, and in today's video I'm going to be going over a pretty special topic. It's not too special, but it is going to be covering the best medium tanks in the game currently, especially with the new update that just came out. There are a few medium tanks which have changed in terms of their stats and their specs, and that could maybe make a tank absolutely horrible and absolutely amazing compared to the last update. So I think it is quite fitting to go over the 4 best tanks that I think are great now in this current update, especially in the medium tank route. So starting off, I'm going to be just telling you guys the 4 tanks that I'm going to go over, but the first one is obviously going to be the Leopard 1. The Leopard 1 has actually received not much in terms of a buff, however, it has received something which is pretty cool and was quite unique to only a few tanks, and that is adaptive concealment. Now what this basically does is keeps you spotted for less. So instead of being spotted for the standard 10 seconds, if someone spots you, you're going to be visible to them for 10 seconds. But what this adaptive concealment does is changes that 10 seconds to a total of 7 seconds. And you may think, oh, that's just 3 seconds, that's not a big deal, but it is actually a huge deal. If you get unspotted before the enemy team or enemy player that spots you first, you are going to have a huge advantage to getting away from them and changing the course of where they may go, and you can get away without them knowing 3 seconds sooner, which is very, very important if you actually take advantage of that usually, which a lot of good players will take huge advantage of that. And that is why I would kind of say that yes, the Leopard 1 is one of the best medium tanks out there, if not the best medium tank. However, it's not going to be the best medium tank for every player, so you need to know as a player your skill level and what is truly going to work for you. So the Leopard 1 might be the best medium tank out there, but it's not the best medium tank for every player. If you're a player who performs extremely well at tier 10, often getting 3k average damage, then yes, you will probably take full advantage of the Leopard 1's capabilities. But for most new players, you're not really going to find the Leopard 1 to be that useful. However, I do think it is a very good tank and is the best tank or medium tank in the game, and for that reason, let's go over one replay in the Leopard 1. Now these games are basically back to back. The first game I'm going to show you is in the Leopard 1, and then I'll go over the other medium tanks that I will be discussing in this video and their replays that I had. Now this is obviously in the latest updates, and so this will kind of show you guys what you can expect from this tank if you do not have it yet, or if you haven't played it in the new updates. Now its mobility, everything like that is basically the same, so you can expect that it's still going to not bounce many shells since it has no armor, and it's still going to hit every single one of its shots since it has that great accuracy, and its mobility is not bad either. So I like to take this position on this map since it does allow you to get some good shots off the left side of the map, and if anyone pops up on the right here, you can shoot them before they end up farming your team from up here. Now the enemy Leopard 1 does end up getting up here, and I do manage to put a shot into him. Now the Leopard 1, obviously, remember, it can be spotted, and it immediately as you spot somebody, it will show an eyeball on them, and that eyeball also shows you when they will be unspotted or when they unspot you. Now obviously me and the Leopard 1 have the same ability, so yeah, we're both going to be unspotted at the same time, so that doesn't truly show you what the ability is truly doing here. Now I missed this last shot. I shouldn't really have poked up to try shoot C, and then the T100 gets spotted here as well. T100 also has the exact same ability as I do. You'll see as soon as the eyeball goes away, we both get unspotted here. Now that is just because we both have the ability of 7 seconds and we'll get unspotted. Now I am going to run away from this engagement because I know there's someone in C, and I know there's 2 medium tanks, or a medium tank and a light tank above, which is a T100 and the Leopard 1. So I definitely want to get out of that situation. I'm going to die if I do not get out of there, and I use that fantastic mobility, getting upwards of 70 kilometers per hour to get the hell out of there. Now I could have gone a bit lower to not get that shot into me in the rear here, but I end up going up here, putting a shot on that Type 71 and getting into a safe position. Thank God this Object 268 was not looking at me, because that would have been kind of crappy if he shot me there. He could have killed me, but he does not end up shooting me. And you can see that absolute crazy DPM as well as that accuracy, just fully just hammering that enemy team. Now I'm going to put my adrenaline on, and this is where the Leopard 1 truly shines. You can just completely farm people no problem. Now that is just one thing that's just absolutely amazing about this tank, is because you can hit any shot you choose, and you can also just completely ruin enemies' HP toll because of the DPM that this tank has. It's upwards of 4k DPM, and because of that, you really are just going to farm the enemy team no problem. Now, in this situation, we're kind of in a predicament. The enemy team has the huge map advantage. They're basically surrounding us completely. So I just need to try get rid of this Leopard 1, since if the Leopard 1 on my team, which is myself, is deadly, it also means that the enemy team's Leopard 1 is also deadly. So he's a pretty good target to focus and clear first. But however, in this situation, I see that he's not poking the same position. I'm going to try get a kill on the Type 71 maybe, but don't quite get it. So I'm going to wait for the minnow to poke here, because I know he might just overpeak and I'll get an easy shot into him. And because it has really good accuracy, the Leopard 1, it means you can also hit some pretty sneaky shots like I got there on that minnow's hatch. Now, I'm not really sure how that pinned, but I must have hit the hatch, which is pretty nice. But now we're going to wait for this Leopard 1 to poke, which is trying to get some shots onto my VZ. Now, the Leopard 1 did get a decrease in its gun depression not too long ago, which does suck, but it still has that pretty decent gun depression to get those sneaky shots off now and then. Now, all that is left is the VK90 and the T100. The T100 I kind of assume is just camping at the top of the map, waiting for some shots. And unfortunately, I do end up getting spotted by the VK90 when he gets spotted here. So that is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, we have the DPM. We're going to poke. If I do get shots from him, I do die. So I am still playing quite passive here. I see the VZs in front of me, so it does give me a bit of cover there. The VK90 is going to go down quickly now, since the VZ55 has that 2-shot gun, which is very, very cool. And I should probably make a video on the VZ55. It's very sweet now with that 2-shot gun. But regardless of that, we're going to now push on forward, going to go look for the T100. And unfortunately, I thought maybe he'd be sitting up here, but the thing is, he's a light tank. He will have better camera rating than me, and if he is using camera net, he will spot me, and I will not spot him in return. So I poke here, and I do think I get spotted. I wait to see the spotting bell, and I do indeed get spotted, which is quite sad because now I can't poke and potentially shoot this T100. Now, I am playing very passive here, because while I am not a one-shot to the T100, unless he high rolls, yeah, I do not want to get shot from him before I shoot him, since I want to do a bit more damage. Now, I'm not going to get another shot here out in this game, which is a bit unfortunate, so I'm just going to leave here. I should have, what I should say is I should have gone above, but I ended up going lower, and which means I never got another shot out. But my first game in the tank in the new updates, I did 3,944 damage. Not too bad, not too shabby, killed 3 people, and it was a decent game. I was not the top of the team, but it kind of just showed you how good the Leopard 1 can perform when played correctly. So guys, that is the Leopard 1, the best medium tank in the game. I'm going to say it straight up, and now a lot of people would think I would start with my 4th best medium tank and work up to the Leopard 1, but everyone knows and everyone's going to agree with me that the Leopard 1 is the best medium tank in the game, especially in this update with that new adaptive concealment. It just makes it a formidable vehicle, and it's just a non-stop buff for this vehicle. However, while it might be the best medium tank in the game, a lot of people will probably agree with me that it is also the hardest medium tank in the game to play. If you're a new player and you're somebody who is still not, or is still grasping the game and has just recently reached tier 10, then I will definitely stay away from the Leopard 1. Because the Leopard 1, while it is the best, it is very hard to drive, and while it does have that really good DPM, really good accuracy, and just overall the gun handling is just absolutely amazing on the vehicle, it does have some negatives which make it very hard for new players. Especially this new concealment, adaptive concealment ability. A lot of new players might find that a very confusing aspect of the tank and might not know how to fully take advantage of it, and because of that, you're not really going to take the full capabilities of the Leopard 1. You might be able to use the great DPM, know when to put adrenaline on to completely dump on your enemies, but the fact that it has basically a very bad gun depression profile compared to many other tanks. It does have a pretty decent amount for a medium tank, no, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have armor, and a lot of you are probably going to struggle with that. So what is a tank that I would put above the Leopard 1 in general of like any player will be able to take advantage of that? And it's been on my screen for the past 2 minutes. It's the E50M. Now, I would actually say that I would put the E50M and the M60 in the same category, because the M60 got a huge buff. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, a lot different to its brother in the tech tree, the M48 pattern. What it does have different to the M48 pattern is that its turret is not as strong as the M48 pattern, but what this tank does truly have is the upper advantage with DPM. It also has that 10 degrees of gun depression compared to the 8 degrees on the M48 pattern. So the M60 is a very, very, very great tank and is better than the M48 pattern. But let me know if you want me to do a comparison video like I have done in the past for the M48 pattern and the M60. So yeah, like I said, I would put the E50M and the M60 in the same category because they are both very, very good tanks when played correctly. And what is very nice about them is that they are easy to take advantage of. if you're a new player, you're new to tier 10, you're new to medium tanks, then the M60 and the E50 are very straightforward and are very easy to play. They both have pretty decent armor profile. They both don't compare to each other with gun depression, but the M60 has that 10 degrees of gun depression, and it's very easy to learn how to go hull down and make sure that your gun is fully aimed down to use the most of your armor, which is a very easy concept. It's nothing like that ability on the Leopard 1 to fully understand, and the E50M just has crazy armor. So yeah, you just need to make sure that you're hiding that lower plate, and you're most likely going to bounce all your shells. And so for that reason, I'm going to move on to the next replay that I have for you guys here, which is the E50M. Now, I will show you the M60 replay that I have. It's actually a very nice replay, I won't lie. It is a mastery, but I won't give you any hints on the damage that I end up doing. But yeah, this is the E50M, and I'm going to show you guys how this tank can really just ruin the battlefield and take advantage of the enemy team. Now, a lot of people might say that the E50M could be a slow tank because the amount of armor it has, but it's actually very mobile for the amount of armor it actually has. So you can still get into the positions at the same time as the enemy medium tanks, and in this situation, it is a dream for the E50M. It has amazing armor, especially to tier 9 medium tanks. So as soon as you see the enemy team having tier 9 medium tanks and light tanks, just know you're going to absolutely bully them. Now, another thing I want you to take notice of is that its normal AP pen is not great. That T54 looks like a bloody mouse to me, but yeah, switching to heat does a good job at completely ruining him there, which is a pretty good idea and a pretty good thing. Another thing that the E50M has is a pretty decent gun depression profile. While you don't have the greatest gun depression out there, it still ends up working on most ridge lines, and if you do manage to go fully hull down, you are going to bounce many shells because the armor profile is amazing on the E50M. While its armor did get buffed on its turret, it's not the most amazing buff since the turret is a flat plate. So in terms of armor effectiveness, it's not really going to get that crazy. But in this situation, as you can see, I'm bouncing so many shells, and I hope you've noticed I have not missed a single shell. The E50M, being a German, it is a lot like its Leopard 1 brother. While not necessarily exact same accuracy wise, it is still a very accurate tank. I have not missed a single shot here because this tank is accurate. It's very accurate, and it has a lot of DPM for the gun that it has, and it also has decent alpha, so it's a kind of mix. The gun is very similar to the Leopard 1 in my opinion. As you can see, the alpha are doing a really good job, and another really good thing about this tank is its ability to ram people for a lot of damage. That is a tier 10 heavy tank that I just rammed, and I did about 200 damage to him in a medium tank. That's just crazy. Just by saying that is absolutely crazy. Another thing you've noticed is that I've been pretty frontline. I've been in the game, I've been basically frontlining against the enemy. I've been in their sights, and I've only lost about 100 and something damage, or 200 and something damage here, which is crazy. It's like the armor is absolutely amazing for a medium tank, and because of that, you're just going to have really good games in this vehicle because it doesn't matter who's aiming at you. If you are moving, if you're doing the deed, using that armor profile to its effectiveness, you're going to bounce a lot of shells, you're going to do a lot of damage, and yeah, like I said, this tank is just an amazing tank, and if you are a new player, you're still going to take full advantage of this vehicle, and this is why I would put it above the Leopard 1 in terms of the best medium tanks, because while the Leopard 1 is definitely the best medium tank overall, over all medium tanks out there, like I said, it's not going to compare to, it's not going to give you the same experience if you're a new player, while the E50M, I feel like it will give you the same experience regardless of the type of player you are. Now, moving on, I have the M60. Like I said, I would put the M60 and the E50M on the same category. I feel like they're very similar tanks in terms of their armor and how to use the tank and its DPM and its just overall capabilities. Now, like I said, the M60 actually has a really good amount of DPM. Let's go into a game while we wait here. It has really good DPM, 3.5k just about. I am running gun rammer on the vehicle, but the M60's mix of great gun depression, 10 degrees, decent turret armor while it still has a hatch and very weak cheeks, so you can't truly rely on the armor profile of the vehicle. It does have thick tracks, which allows it to side scrape pretty effectively, and also when you bob in and out of move a lot, people are most likely gonna hit your tracks and do no damage, which is another nice thing about this vehicle. Those big tracks actually play a key role in this vehicle's ability to bounce shells. And another thing is its mobility is really good compared to the M48 pattern in the tech tree. You're going upwards of 52 kilometers in this, no problem, and the acceleration is pretty good in the vehicle as well. Another great thing about this vehicle and what you always need to do is go hull down, and that is quite straightforward, and it's why I think a lot of new players can truly take advantage of this vehicle. I sit quite still here, which it's quite a bad idea because E4 will be able to pen me no problem. But he doesn't shoot me, he shoots my buddy over here in the Caro. Now I do see the enemy team having 2 tier 9 medium tanks. Again, if you're playing the M60 and against tier 9 mediums, you're just going to farm them. It's a farm fest day for you. Especially on this map. I hate this map, by the way. I would usually go with the medium tanks on the far right, but because the enemy team had the 2 tier 9 medium tanks, I came this way to absolutely farm on them. And as you can see here, my AMX 50 is just taking the shots for me while I just dump the damage. Its alpha is very good as well on this vehicle. You will do upwards of 400 damage, no problem, every shot. And it is another thing that is really nice about this vehicle. The alpha, the accuracy, the DPM, and the armor profile. As you can see, I'm bouncing shells, no problem. I still haven't lost a single bit of HP since I've been playing held down. And in this situation, I see the entire enemy team on the right side, so I end up going for a ram. Now this vehicle isn't as good as ramming as the E50M is, but it is still a big vehicle with a lot of weight to it, and it allows you to do some decent damage with rams. Now I feel bad for this T30, I completely didn't mean to ram him here, and he does lose a lot of HP for that. So if you're watching this video, T30, I'm extremely sorry for that, my man. I would have been very upset if someone did that to me, so I really feel your pain there. I do apologize for that, but yeah, I'm just going to put myself here out of way of the guys in the factory so they can't shoot me, and just farm the E100 while I can. The reload, as you can see, is absolutely crazy, and mixed with that alpha, I am just packing up the damage here. Unfortunately, the 2 medium tanks on the far left there end up shooting me, but as you can see, the armor is doing a great deal of work here. There's a lot of gray shells and a lot of pens that are not going in from the enemy team on this vehicle, which is pretty nice. Like I said, the tracks absorb a lot of damage. Unfortunately, the Concept 1B does have a pretty decent reload time, and it means that he is going to reload about the same time as me, so he's doing about the same damage as I am to him. In this situation, I don't end up spotting the T100 here at D again, and I immediately think and know that the T100 is going for the enemy spawn. Because it's kind of obvious he would have been spotted if he went to our spawn, so he's most likely in his own spawn here. So I end up turning on the only one who actually turns around for this T100, and I end up looking for him where he may have gone. I kind of assume maybe he's in this bush since I don't spot him, and he indeed is. And I unfortunately get a stupid bounce, and my driver is now dead. He puts one more shot into me. Luckily, the T100's alpha is not great, so he does not end up killing me there. But now I'm going to use that great side scrape and the great side scraping ability because of its thick tracks to bounce a shell from the T100 and win this game, doing a total of 6,000 damage. On the dot, guys. If it wasn't for that ram, I wouldn't have gotten the 6k, but it is a mastery, and it is 6,000 damage on the dot. I only killed one player, unfortunately. I could have probably killed more, but it still ended up giving me the mastery, which is pretty nice. Now that is it, guys, for the M60. Also another fantastic tank. I would definitely put it up there as another best medium tank in the game, especially for new players. It's very easy to take full advantage of the M60 because of its armor profile, its DPM, its gun depression. It's just way too good to be true. But it is true, so it's pretty good about that. And the E50M doesn't have the gun depression, but has the armor. The M60 has the gun depression, but doesn't have the best armor. They both have good DPM. They both have the mobility, so it's just a choice of you, which one you choose. And also the E50M is free. It's a tick-tree tank. The M60 is a collector. Now the third tank that I would put up there is probably going to be a controversial one. Not many players are going to agree with me, especially Peter. I'm sure you know Peter on YouTube. He is not going to agree with me with this, because I do know that he doesn't really enjoy the FE4202 that much, at least what I have heard. But yeah, that is the next tank I'm going to put on this list as the third and fourth best medium tank in the game, in my opinion, because of one thing. Its gun. And while it's not the most accurate gun out there, it does have a Hesh gun, which we all know and love. It can do upwards of 550 damage with this Hesh gun, and this Hesh gun has upwards of 220 premium pen, which is absolutely amazing. If you use that 227 mils of pen, you can pen a lot of tanks frontally with Hesh. Now, they did end up ruining the gun in the last update, not the current update. They ruined the gun in the last update where they reduced, I think it was aiming time or something to do with the gun handling, and it kind of made a big difference to this tank being accurate, and they increased its armor profile in return, which I don't truly understand. The main issue about the FE was never its armor, and it was always that its gun was a bit finicky, and they ended up ruining the gun even more. But it doesn't mean that the tank is bad, and I'm going to go into another replay that I have here for you guys, and as you can see, they're all basically back-to-back games. But yeah, the FE4202 is actually one of my most favorite tier 10 medium tanks, just because while its reload is not the greatest, and its alpha for the tank that it is, and the gun that it is, and its reload that it has is not great, But if you end up using only Hesh and manage to pen every single shot in Hesh, you're gonna do a lot of damage, and it's upwards of like 4k DPM or something like that, which is crazy to think about because it is a medium tank. It is very mobile. As you can see, I'm going upwards of 60. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, which means you can go hull down and stuff, which is just crazy nice. And the alpha is very good, and the accuracy, while it was ruined, it is still a very accurate vehicle. As you can see there, I'm hitting this guy's hatch no problem. Unfortunately, it does bounce since it is spaced armor, and I did end up shooting Hesh. And unfortunately, I can't actually pen the Kara's turret there frontally. It's a bit annoying there, but yeah, I guess it's fine. And this Object 140 is going to be quite annoying on my left. He's going to keep pummeling shots into me. And even with normal AP, guys, I'm doing 370 damage, which is, yeah, this alpha is very nice. It's a lot like the Leopard 1. And while it doesn't have that great 5 seconds of reload, it does have that Hesh. And I'm doing 450 damage average here with my Hesh every like 6 seconds with adrenaline, which is just very nice. I end up killing this chieftain using that 10 degrees of gun depression to hide the lower plates of my vehicle. And yeah, now I see this 140 farming out our teammates. I try to put a shot into him, and unfortunately it misses. But my 183 revenges it and kills him with one shot. And this is where the FB has a huge amount of fun. When you verse a Caro and you verse a tank like the 50B, it is just going to be a farm fest for you. Those tanks are basically hit point bags for you, because look at this poor 50B. He has no armor to me. Like, anywhere on his vehicle there's not a spot of orange, besides the really acute angles there. But I'm just gonna completely dump my shells onto this 50B and just completely farm the enemy team. Now, I will admit I end up dying in this game, unfortunately, because I end up over-peaking this M6 and I also unfortunately low roll on this guy. I end up doing, like, I did above 400 damage for all my shots, and my last shell somehow does 393. It wouldn't have changed anything though. I would have still died, and he ends up getting a little sneaky shot between the enemy's 183's gun, and I do end up going down. However, even though dying, we end up winning this game, and I believe I do upwards of 5k damage. I can't actually remember here. I think it's pretty close. Let's see what I get here. Come on. I don't know why the loading screen's always so slow, but I end up doing 4,400 damage just about. So another fantastic game in the FB 4202. It is a very strong medium tank, but it might not be the choice of many other players. A lot of players might choose something different, like maybe the Object 907, which I didn't really go too much in the stats changes for the 907, but in the previous update it was a very strong medium tank. But again, I wouldn't recommend it. It's something a lot like the Leopard 1, and that's probably why a lot of people enjoy it. But again, I would probably choose the Leopard 1 over the 907 since it also has no armor. But yeah, that's just notable mention to mention to you guys that the 907 does exist and you should consider it. But yeah, my order of the tanks that I would choose is the Leopard 1 if you are a skill player at the top of the line, the best medium tank out there. But if you're a new player, new to tier 10, new to playing medium tanks, don't often do a lot of damage, I would recommend the M60 and the E50 because they're very easy tanks to learn. They have decent armor so that you don't get immediately punished like you would in the Leopard 1 for making a mistake. And overall, they are just both really good tanks. Good mobile tanks, good armor tanks, good gun tanks. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with the M60 and the E50M. And then in my fourth position, I put the FE4202 because I do really like this tank. It's maybe a bit of a bias opinion here because I do really like this tank and it's one of my favorite medium tanks to play. But it can't necessarily be, it's a lot like the Leopard 1. A lot of new players are not going to play this tank effectively because you need to know where all the weak spots are in enemy tanks, and you need to be very quick with how you shoot because you don't want to take shots in return, and you want to make sure that you are penning your shots. It also only has Hesh and doesn't have a premium shell that can pen or butter through enemy medium tanks such as the E50M. So you never want to go in a face hug in this tank. You always want it to keep distance, use that Hesh to do damage and clear your enemies. So with that being said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video and hopefully it was quite beneficial to you to understand what these tanks kind of feel like on the battlefield and what tanks are actually the best tanks in the game. Again, this is kind of opinion based. A lot of other players will probably choose a different tank, more tanks than I did, but I do generally think that a lot of people will agree with me on this list. With that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. With that being said, guys, hopefully your shells hit their marks and I'll check you in the next one. Goodbye.